Okay, thanks everyone for joining. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar for today, which is on the exploitation and business planning within the lightweight field. My name is Ricardo del Valle, and I'm very happy to be here. As you know, this is one of the webinars that are part of the educational programs of the Amulet project, and I will tell you a bit about the educational programs and the Amulet project in a bit. But before doing that, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Ricardo del Valle. I'm working as a senior innovation consultant in Bax & Company since 2018. I used to work before joining Bax & Company in the steel private sector when I finished my PhD on material science and engineering. And now I'm mostly working on projects related to advanced materials, advanced manufacturing, and automotive and mobility sectors. I would like to add as well that I'm part of the team that coordinates the ELCA network, which stands for European Lightweight Cluster Alliance, which actually this network was the Amulet incubator. Amulet was conceptualized and developed within the ELCA network. And as I said before, I'm mostly in Bax & Company, I'm mostly working in project management, project development, which also include activities that support the exploitation of results derived from innovation. I'm including as well here my contact details. So in case that you have any questions after the webinar, or if you have any type of inquiry about the Amulet project, you're free to reach me out. For today, this is the outline for the webinar today. It will take us around 30 to 45 minutes, so I hope I will try to do it as efficient as possible. After presenting the objective of the webinar, I would like to spend just a few minutes giving a bit of context in what is the Amulet project, a bit of background from this webinar. Then we will go into the exploitation and the route to market strategy for two objectives. On the one hand, to give support to those projects that are now being developed from the open calls, and as well as anyone or the SMEs or even RTOs interested in getting a bit more insight on how to successfully get their innovations to the market. After presenting the route to market methodology, then we're gonna present a few examples on business models within the lightweight field. And finally, we will go into some wrap up and conclusions. For today's webinar, the objective is that we're gonna start by giving an overview of what are the most important aspects that should be considered for taking your innovations into the market. And especially, we're going to give a few more insights into what's important in the lightweight field. This methodology includes already an assessment that allows you to develop a route to market strategy, which is suitable for lightweight products and technologies. As you will see later in the webinar, is actually this business planning can apply to different technological domains. However, I will try to highlight, to emphasize some of the particularities that apply to the lightweight field. Having said that, before going into the route to market and the exploitation methodology that we want to present to everybody today, just a few words about the Amulet project. The Amulet project builds upon the framework of the program of InnoSoc 01. This was a program specifically for SMEs, to give support to SMEs, that was part of H2020. H2020 is the predecessor of the Horizon Europe program. And the idea of the program, besides supporting SMEs, was to develop new industrial value chains. And they want to do it through the active participation of the SMEs. In terms of the project, the ultimate goal, the ultimate goal of the Amulet project is to significantly contribute to CO2 emissions reduction by precisely increasing or boosting the role of the SMEs. Amulet aims to create new value chains within the lightweight field by fostering the use and the penetration of three types of materials. So we have polymer-based composites, ceramic composites, and light metal alloys in four targeted sectors. We have the traditional sectors in which lightweight is applied. This is aerospace and aeronautics, followed by automotive. But then also we have other sectors in which lightweight could have a potential, which in this case is building and energy. Amulet builds upon three types of activities. And the first activity, as you all know, some of you might come from the open calls. This is the support of innovation projects, and this is the demonstration of new products and services within the lightweight field through thematic challenge competitions. Then we have two activities which are devoted to the educational programs. The first type is on technical training support and is delivered in two types. Continuing support, this is the form of educational materials. And then we have dedicated support. That means that those teams, SME consortia working on the innovation projects of the first activity, can request a specific coaching, a specific guidance and advice on how to develop on the best way their technical solutions. In the same manner, we have the activity 3, the business-to-business coaching, which is at the same time delivering in two types. On the one hand, dedicated support, that means that the SME consortium can specifically request some of the support to the teams so they can do the business planning specifically to their solutions. And then we have the continuous support, which is in the form of education and materials. Today's webinar actually is framed within activity 3, business-to-business culture. The idea is that the webinar today can help all the SMEs interested in lightweight, but also those that are participated in the competitions. Let me just 1 second. I need to accept one of the groups attending. Just 1 second. Okay. Sorry. Let me now, before we go into the methodology itself, I would like to just spend a bit of time as well on where exploitation fits within the entire innovation process. I'm pretty sure that most of you are quite familiar with the TRL scale. That means that, as you can see here in this slide, we have the TRL level with a brief explanation of what this TRL level is. What I have included here is just one example that applies to the development of devices, of digital devices, calculators that you can see here at the bottom. And then at the top, we see how exploitation fits within each of the TRL levels. And in two colors, we have differentiated the role that RTOs, this is research centers at universities, have within the TRL level development as well as the industry. Today, the TRL, this TRL level is actually used as a decision-making tool on different type of R&D investments. And you can see here that already at TRL 3, which is the first assessment of the concept validation, this is a work that we're still doing at laboratory scale, you already can start doing an early market assessment. However, you see that you can start thinking already at this low TRL, what can be the impact in the business at the commercial scale of your innovation. You can start thinking about what could be the target audience, the potential revenues, and based, of course, on certain assumptions, because there are still quite some uncertainties happening at TRL 3, especially in the case of groundbreaking technologies, which is quite important in lightweighting. Something that I will mention several times during the webinar is that lightweighting technologies are key enabling technologies. That means that results that we obtain have a multiplying factor in other technologies. That means that there is a continuous progress, a quite fast advance in TRL of different type of technologies within the lightweight field. What this means that then after we finish TRL 3, a more in-depth business preparation will start at TRL after TRL 4, and this will intensify at pilot scale. That means that when you reach the pilot scale, that means TRL 6, TRL 7, the value proposition is quite or more clear. You know what could be the competing technologies, and at the same time, you have already validated some results at laboratory scale. So you have managed to reduce the uncertainty, and this can help you to move to upscale to an initial market introduction, which starts at TRL 8 and should be already aligned with IPR decisions. Something that I would like to mention as well is the role that industry have in this TRL journey that your innovations will experience. And as you can see here, that we have highlighted in yellow for the initial market introduction to the market expansion, and already the contract to achieve some certification of your innovations at TRL from TRL 8 onwards, the role of companies is quite important. So you can see here how RTOs can push TRL into TRL 7, and then there should be a participation of the industry to uptake the innovations, which can be done as well by the creation of spin-offs from the RTOs, from the universities. Now, giving a bit on this context, let's now take a look at the route to market methodology that can be being developed even before TRL 5. So I would say it applies and can be applied to all the different solutions that are being incubated in the open calls. And this route to market methodology can help you planning the commercialization of your innovation already after a few stages of conceptualization. This methodology was adapted from the Right Way project for Interreg Northwest Europe. The Right Way project is a project that aims to support SMEs as well, SME consortia, working in the transferability of solutions between automotive and aerospace sector. And it's important to mention as well that actually this methodology, as I explained before, can be applied to different type of business cases, business modeling. But what we have done here is just included some aspects that can apply much better to the lightweight sector. Or my suggestion is that when you develop your market assessment, your exploitation, route to market methodology, for example, for those so SME consortia participating in the open calls of the Amulet project, go step by step and make sure that all the important aspects and trends in the market are identified, and you keep monitoring during the 9 months of the phase 2, for example, of the Amulet support program, that you can monitor the trends, so you identify any type of competing technology, so that you make sure that your solution reach TRL 8.9 is not obsolete. 1 second, let me just admit someone. Yes. Now, going into the methodology itself, this is integrated by 6 main elements. As I said, this is not exhaustive. This is just a recommendation that came from the Right Way project during the conversation that we have on the SMEs participating from the automotive and aerospace sector. And these 6 elements, starting for the vision and then the market analysis, allows you to, let's say, assess the exploitation in a rigorous way. After the market analysis, then we have the SWOT, which is probably something that you are quite familiar with. The value proposition that, as we said, after TRL 4.5 is quite, or should be quite clear. Then we delve into the customer marketing, distribution, and sales strategy. In the case of a competitive process, such as many of you might be familiar with Horizon Europe or any other type of funding programs in which you will see you need to explain your business case, your business modeling, these 6 elements are quite useful to present a sound business case for your innovation to the evaluator. So you can take this methodology, present it in those competitive process, and in this way you can highlight the most important aspects so your innovation reach the market successfully. Starting with the first of the elements, this is the vision. The vision is the unique future picture of your innovation that it will have in the future, 5-10 years from now. What can we expect from your innovation into the market? And the wider the applicability and replicability of your innovation, of course, the wider the vision. So in the same way, the more specific and niche your innovation and vision is, the more chances you have to stand out from competing technologies. There are different types of examples here. What we have included just some examples of visions that are quite different from each other. We have the one from Apple, in which the aim was to make the best computers and change the world. As you can see here, this is a vision that came up already during the 80s, the 90s, even the 70s, that they applied this vision. And now we can see how 30, 40 years. Sorry, can I ask to Cosimo to please mute yourself? Just 1 second. Okay. I think I managed to mute. Okay. So then we have other examples that are applied more to lightweight. This is in the case of, for example, carbon mobility for the UK to be the best mobility aid provider. Then we have another example, which is way more specific because it talks about a specific manufacturing technology, a specific type of material. This is the case of Inometa from Germany, in which today they are one of the world's first contract manufacturers using laser-assisted tape winding technology. So they're specifying already the type of technologies, manufacturing technology they want to focus on, and then they introduce a bit more abstract vision at the long term, which is to achieve new dimension in the development and manufacturing of high-precision composite products. Then you have other examples of vision in which, in this case, from Scott Bader from the UK, by 2036, they want to be a fully sustainable company, which means we will have a net positive impact on the environment from all of operations globally. So you can see here, this vision is actually more into what they want to do from the company perspective, how they want to grow, and at the same time, they are already setting up a long-term goal. So once this vision is fully described, the next step is to assess the market relevance, and this can be done by analyzing the market. So how to deal with the market analysis? This is a detailed assessment of your business target market and the competitive landscape that you have within a specific industry. The market analysis allows you to predict how successful your innovation or the products or services that you are developing can have within the market. And it should include quantitative data and qualitative data as well. So how to carry out a market analysis? So we suggest in this methodology to consider three elements, which actually allow us to go, or will allow you to go to a high level to something that is closer to your solution. And this is visualized at the left of the figure. You have seen here what we have trying to visualize: the total addressable market. This is at the high level. Then the serviceable available market, SAM. This is the market that can be acquired according to your business level. And then we narrow down into the serviceable available market. This is the percentage of the SAM that you can realistically capture. For example, by already having the first clients, the first end users of your product. Some examples that could apply to the lightweight sector can be, let's imagine for a moment, let's assume that you have a solution for battery housings, a composite, a thermoplastic that can be used in battery housing. In the case of the total addressable market, you can look into the millions of battery electric vehicles that were sold at global level in 2022. And as well, you should take into account the forecast. How many million of battery electric vehicles will be sold, for example, by 2030? Why 2030? 2030, as we will see later on, is a key year in the regulation of battery housings or electric vehicles because of the Green Deal and the Fit to 55 package. That is a set of regulations coming from the Green Deal, and also 2035. So that means that you should choose those forecast periods that are at the same time related to regulation, to legislation affecting your solution. Going from the TAM, we go into the SAM. This is the services available market. In this case, we narrow down, we go from global to European scale, the number of battery electric vehicles that were sold in Europe in the same year. This is 2022, and also the expected number of vehicles that should be sold by 2030. Again, we are following up those forecast periods that are relevant to the regulation affecting your solution. Then finally, we go into the SOM, the serviceable obtainable market. In this case, we will narrow down from the European scale to a more local, regional, and national scale. And one good starting point is if you already have an end user. For example, in the following a bit the same example of the battery electric vehicles, if you are already planning to sell that thermoplastic composite product to one of the OEMs or one of the tier 1, tier 2 suppliers of battery electric vehicles. So you see here how we have gone from a very high to a more narrowed down level, closer to your solution, closer in the sense of location, client, and even at a local or regional scale. Other aspects that can be considered in this market analysis are the ones that you can see here in this slide, which are related to the technology, to the ecological environment, as we said before, political, legal environment, the economical situation around your solution, and finally, which is also gaining quite importance, is the social environment. Now let's have a closer look at each of these factors, starting with the technological environment. Here you should have a look at those relevant trends for lightweight technologies and solutions that can be basic, key, and driver to other technologies. So you should identify them. And also, in case that there is any game-changing technology that could affect your solution, you should also identify as well. This could be, for example, the case of 3D printing already a few decades ago, in which it was identified as a game-changing technology. You can analyze how these different other competing technologies can affect your solution, and for that, selecting some specific KPIs. We have included here one example in the case of lightweight materials applied to the automotive sector. You can see here how we have selected as a KPI the lightweight performance, and then we have analyzed different type of materials. So if you want to compare carbon fiber composites with other competing technologies, in this case like metal alloys or other metals, and then how they can be applied in different structures, different components of a car, and already including a KPI, which is the lightweight reduction. Another example, which is not specifically for lightweight, is that Nokia was not aware of the new generation of cell phones that were brought by Apple through the smartphone. So we see here how competent technologies can affect your solution and should be part of the market analysis. In terms of the ecological environment, this is particularly affected by the supply chain, for example, in the case of composites. But how to analyze the impact of your innovation in the environment? Well, this can be a consequence of two things. On the one hand, we have the performance of your solution in the environment, which can be assessed, for example, by the energy consumed per unit of product, the CO2 emissions per weight of your product, the water used per unit product, and other ones that can be at the same time also related to your adoption, which is what is the minimum amount of your units of your products that are expected to be in the market. So by taking into account the ecological performance and the adoption of your product, you can have a more accurate assessment of what can be the impact in the market just by multiplying both of them. Another factor that also is particularly important in lightweight is, and more than in other type of technologies, which can be, for example, hospitality, is the regulatory framework. And the regulatory framework, as I said before, can be an important factor affecting your market analysis. And of course, in many cases, and now I'm addressing especially those SME consortia working on the open calls of the Amulet project, you might not have an LCA analysis or an LCI lifecycle inventory at this point. However, you can rely on some assumptions, and when you get closer to TRL9, then you will need to analyze these impacts in a more accurate way. Now, when we were talking about the regulations, now we deal into the political legal environment. As I said before, this is quite relevant in the lightweight sector. So you can see here some examples, for example, whether the European regulation for the battery industry or even some new import carbon tax that can affect packaging. So the idea here is to identify all relevant political and legal figures that could affect your solution or could influence your solution, analyze what can be that impact to quantify, and also already anticipate some mitigating actions. It's important that you are aware of every legal requirement of your solution. For example, whether you need to acquire a business license or if there are any type of national guidelines, for example, on the waste management. And we can see here how, which is quite relevant for lightweight, is that the automotive industry is one of the most regulated industries in the world, at the same time aerospace and industry. So you should be aware or identify those regulations at local, regional, national, at European level that could affect your solution. Besides the automotive, there are other relevant regulations for lightweight, and most probably to all many of the solutions that are being developed in the competitions. For example, the Raw Materials Act, which is already identified critical raw materials, and this can be important for light metal alloys because of the alloying elements, for example, gallium in some of them, or with ceramic matrix composites because of the bauxite, which is used for the aluminum production and has been identified by the Commission as a critical raw material. So once you have an overview of the political legal environment, you can have a look at the economical one by analyzing some of the main figures related to your environment, whether it's a local, national, or regional level, like the economic growth, the inflation, the unemployment rate, the economic situation, exchange rates, the interest level. These economical figures can help you give a framework to your market analysis to see the potential that it has. And with this potential analyzed at local, regional level, you will be able to see whether your solution has the potential to be internationalized, and for doing that, whether you need to plan any type of IPR of your innovation. And when analyzing, you can follow when analyzing the economical environment, you can follow a similar approach for the one that we presented on the market analysis. You can go from a very broad perspective at European level to a closer level, for example, those figures, economical figures that are local or regional level as well. Finally, in terms of after analyzing the economical environment, something that is gaining a lot of importance is the social environment, which we have two types. We have the external environment, which is everything that is around the society at large. And then we have the internal environment, which is the environment created by your business, by the business created by your innovation. And here it's important there are some KPIs that can help you assess the social environment, which can be the population structure, the cultural, ethical, religious values, attitudes, and also this will help you to analyze whether your solution, your business can have an impact on employment, acceptance, inclusion, gender equality, regional economic growth, sustainable society. When thinking about social environment, one might think that is not relevant for Lightweight. However, it is just giving a couple of examples. In the case of bio-based materials, bio-based composites, which rely on natural fibers. These natural fibers come from natural feedstock, which is crops in which the condition of labor is quite important. So they will look at the origin, how that feedstock is treated, and also from the other hand, other social, other ethical considerations can come from the use of artificial intelligence, which is gaining momentum for the multifunctionalization of composites. So this is just a couple of examples in which one might think that is not as relevant as other type of environment, but it is. Also, other factors that we suggest to consider when developing your market analysis, not only for those solutions that are competing in the first and second open calls of the Amulet project, but as well if you're interested in preparing business planning, exploitation activities, for example, for competing projects like Horizon Europe or any other type of funding programs, is the scalability, transferability, and the time to market. In terms of the scalability, so it would be good that you demonstrate how your solution not only can solve a specific problem, but also has the potential to be commercialized to solve other problems in other sectors, in other industries. And this is also related to the transferability, how your solution that could be used in the automotive sector, a material that can be used as a semi-structural component, can also be used as a semi-structural component in the energy sector. So I would say that because as we mentioned before at the start of the webinar, how lightweight is a key enabling technology, results obtaining one technology can have a multiplying factor in other, it should not be very hard for you to identify the transferability of your solution because you're working on the lightweight field. And finally, on the time to market, this is the strategy on how you plan to reach TRL 9. Many of you, especially those working on the open calls, you will deliver a solution at TRL 7. However, there's still a couple of TRL levels that you will need to complete before your solution is ready to be on the market. And it's important because, as we said, because the lightweight is a key enabling technology and competing technologies are advancing very, very fast. It's important that you try to reduce as much as possible the time to market strategy. There are several ways to do it, whether it's by collaborating with key players or whether you can get some extra funding, some specific programs. There are different strategies that can help you getting a short time to market. If you have questions, if you have doubts from Bax & Company, we can help you on developing a fast time to market strategy so that you make sure that when your solution reaches the market, it would not be obsolete. Just feel free to reach us out. You can do it through the ELCA platform or just send us an email and we will be happy to help you. After seeing these different factors, which are actually part of the market analysis, let's now go into the SWOT. I would not spend too much time on this third element of the methodology because probably you all will know this SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat analysis. So I will just give a few guidelines, a few suggestions on how to address it effectively in a very easy way. Sometimes when you are about to make a SWOT, you don't know where to start, or maybe you know the strengths very well, but you struggle a bit in other ones. So I will try to give a few examples, a few guidelines on how to do it in the best manner. In terms of strengths, as you know, this is where you should where you are really good at, what you are good at. So some important questions that can help you is what does your company do best? What your solution do best? What the unique knowledge, talent, or resource does your company have? This is unique selling proposition of your innovation. What advantages your company have? What do other people say about your company that does well? What type of resources your company has available, or what is your company greatest achievement? So these questions can help you draft your strengths, and I'm including here one example, which is the use of fiber-reinforced plastics, and you can see here how we go from these different questions into the bullets that you see here, which are the strengths of composites products, which is quality control, among others, lightweight, ease of handling, space saving, health mitigating, global warming, and so on. In terms of the weaknesses, this is as well very important to identify, because you can anticipate and you can try to find solutions to your weaknesses as well. Some questions that can help you as guidance. What could your company improve? What knowledge, talent, skills, or resources is your company lacking? What disadvantages does your company have? What do other people say that your company doesn't do well? And this can be then translated into some weaknesses of, in the case of fiber-reinforced polymers, some of the weaknesses that we are aware: current low recycling rates in the case of thermoset or infrastructure, the use of hazardous chemical substances, also in the case of thermoset, and some other examples as well. In terms of opportunities, this is the chances that you have for do something for something positive to happen, whether there is a need in your company that is not being addressed yet, or how is your company changing. And in the case of fiber-reinforced polymers, you can see here how those weaknesses can then be translated into opportunities. We identify as one of the weaknesses of composites the recycling capabilities, and this is also an opportunity to find more business opportunity. If you develop a recycling technology or a recycling solution that can help overcome this issue, this is actually an opportunity. And finally, the threats is that this is everything that can affect negatively your business from the outside. And some questions is, what obstacles does your company face? Whether any of your weaknesses prevent your company to meeting your goals, or how can, are there any standards, policies, legislation changing? This is related to the political environment that we discussed when we were doing the market analysis that could affect your company. So here we see how we can translate the market analysis into the SWOT, this is a direct relationship, or whether your company is competing with others to provide a service. This is the technological environment that we discussed before. The best way to analyze the SWOT is when you have the complete overall picture. You can see here how strengths can be used for opportunities, or whether you have the strength to manage your threats, whether your opportunities can be a miss if due to some of your weaknesses, or what type of risks you are exposed to because of your weaknesses, that in the form of threats. So this summary of SWOT can help you to have a very good picture of how successfully your solution can reach the market. We are approaching the end of the 6 main elements of the methodology. This is the value proposition, the customer, and the marketing and distribution of sales, the sales strategy. In terms of the value proposition, this is actually very important. This is the one that we said that should be clear after TRL3, TRL4, also in many cases already from proof of concept. This is something that everybody already has a very clear idea, despite of the uncertainties that you can have a laboratory scale. And this is summarizing why your customer would choose your product or your service. The value proposition can be quantitative or qualitative, and to identify your value proposition, I'm including here some questions that can help you drafting an attractive value proposition. And now I'm suggesting this to those participating on the open calls, that is not only important to provide a value proposition per se, but also to make it the most interesting, the most catchy as possible to everyone that is evaluating your value proposition, your exploitation, or your business modeling. In terms of the customer segment, this is allow you to identify the type of customer that you want to have and the relationship. There are different type of customer segments that depend on the type of market, whether you want to reach automotive, aerospace, energy, or building, and the type of relationship is the type of value chain stage that you are targeting. the relationship that you might have with the customers is the first thing to do is to identify how strong you want to keep a bond between you and your customer. I would say that in many cases on the lightweight sector, on the different options, the one that the affiliative and the strategic are very common in composites and the lightweight manufacturing technologies, because these are knowledge intensive domains. So therefore, in many cases, you need to have a quite strategic relationship with your customer, because there's always support needed in terms of, for example, handling equipment, the supply materials, testing. There is a specific knowledge that is exchanged between the customers and the main client and the company, and therefore affiliative and strategic are the most common ones. Marketing, distribution, and sales are related also to your innovation. Once this is quite close already to be in the market, this is typically, as we saw before, typically defined after completing TRL7. And in the marketing, you choose a channel in which you want to reach your customer, whether that is social media, newsletter, or direct contact with the client. Then you choose a distribution, a channel, depending also on the location of your customers, whether you are already targeting something at local, regional, or national level. That will help you to, or might need to have some distributors, agents. And in terms of the sales, you can set up sales goals. For example, the number of unique products that you want to reach after 1 year of implementation. And this is quite related to the route to market. The early sales goals, as in many cases, the assessment that is done at TRL 7 is that early stages can help you to do it if you do it bottom up. That means first you identify the sales you need to do to cover cost. And then after some of the phases of the market stage, you can start thinking on the growth in turnover that you aim to do after 1, 2 years, 5 years in the route to market. And this is related, the sales goal is related to the cost structure. So that means that to develop some cost structure, you look into some key figures as well, whether that some key resources in terms of infrastructure, IPR, or if you need some specific human resources, whether you have enough capacity to deliver your solution to the market, to sell the number of units that you aim to do according to your sales goals. And this also includes key activities, key suppliers, and as I said before, the financial capacity. In terms of the cost structure, your solution can more or less fit into 2 main categories. One is cost-driven. That means whether your solution can overcome competitors basically on price, basically because your solution is cheaper, or if it's value-driven. That means because you want to gain clients based on the fact that your solution is performed much better, despite or being more expensive. And based on your cost structure, you can identify your pricing strategy, which is at the end the relationship between the price that you're offering into the market and the quality of your product. And this can allow you to identify different type of strategies to reach the market. Now, with this, we have covered the 6 elements of the methodology. I know that also we are close to 40 minutes, so I will start going into the last part of the webinar. But before we finish, I would like to quickly mention just the business models within the lightweight field. This is as you all know, the business model canvas. This is something that fits in any regular business, but I have included here as well some examples on aerospace and automotive that can help you developing your market assessment, your business planning, by looking a bit or take some inspiration. In the case of aerospace, this is related to a cheaper solution. So that means this is something cheaper, as we were seeing on the cost strategy of carbon fiber-based materials. This is composites that can also bring the similar reduced weight in different components. So you can see here, this is a snapshot of the business plan, the market, the 6 elements of the methodology just visualized here in this canvas. And the same for automotive. So, but in this case, we have included in the automotive an example from Tesla. And in this case, the value proposition is for the SX3 model that can have a better range, and also actually the value proposition is quite different from the other one. Here, we are not offering something cheaper. Actually, they are offering something better. So you can see here how there is a contrast between the 2 types of business models. So to wrap up, and before we finish in this webinar, what we try to do, I try to explain a bit on how to develop in the most efficient way an exploitation strategy, including a route to market. And to do that, we presented a methodology that, if you follow step by step, at the end of the day, will help you to have a good picture of how your solution can successfully reach the market. This methodology comprises 6 elements. We also included some more examples that apply to the lightweight field. And in case that you need any help, any assistance on getting your invention to the market, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us, to the Amulet project, or to myself in Bax & Company, because I will be happy to help you in your process for developing these exploitation activities as part of the educational programs of the Amulet project. And also, the next webinar that we are organizing will happen in the 17th of October, that's at 3 p.m., and is on characterization and modeling. I encourage you all to attend if you are interested in this topic, how to optimize mechanical and crash properties in light metal components. Please don't miss it out. I've included here as well a link that can help you to register. And from my side, that will be all. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will be happy to answer any of your questions, if any. And thank you very much. I will start recording the session because I know this is something that we agree. Just 1 second.